You also have a force of evil. Counter. 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 Counter.
Hello, watchers, runners, and gods of the time stream. Please, everyone stop and take a second to applaud Whitebeard's amazing speech he gave to his crew last week. And when you're done giving a kudos nod, then feel free to grab a chair, conjure up a table, and join us to talk about all things the dungeon run. Now, I know you guys are wondering, where's Fail Waffle? Okay, she is currently on a really hot date with her taken and spoken for man. But being a success pancake and all, I offered to host the stream for today and only this week for her. She didn't want to let you guys down. So with that said, thank you guys all for being here today. And what an awesome intro, right? Thank you, Gorbin Plade, for making that amazing intro. You are a very, very special and important part of the Watch Party team. And Waffle and I appreciate you. How is everybody doing? It's been a long Tuesday, but I'm excited to be hanging out with you guys today. I want to give my thoughts for today's episode. I know that's what Fail Waffle does when she does this, right? Now, I'm not a lover of Whitebeard like Fail Waffle is. But regardless of whether you love him or hate him, you can't deny that Whitebeard was pretty fantastic this episode. The speech that he wrote was very well written and very well performed. The pacing of the episode was very fluid. The tone often changed from happy to sad to comedic to dramatic, but very smoothly and organically. It was awesome. Not to mention, there was very minimal out of character talk, and when there was, it added to the show rather than hurt the show. There was so much character development, so many topics that were talked about, and so much going on in this episode. I think for the fourth time on this show, I'm actually going to give this episode a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. I really, really loved it. It was beautiful. I have very little constructive feedback for it. And Pete Moss, is this her twin sister? I am not Faye Waffle's twin sister. I'm just a random success pancake that decided to fill in today. But with that being said, I cannot express to you guys how much excitement there was in this episode. In fact, the gods of the time stream that the amulet has decided to summon today to have the conversation with me, it took us an hour just to decide which topic points to cover in the next 40 minutes. It's insane. So with that being said, I'm just eager to just dive right into it. Can we bring this week's counsel on? I have Gorbin Plade, Aegis 13, and Mazikeel joining me for today's Amulet Council discussion. How are you guys today?
Awesome.
Good, excited.
We're
Fun.
very excited to be here. Again, yay.
Again. How about you, Aegis? How about you?
I've been fine. I'm fine. A man of plain words, Aegis.
Very, very. He is amazing, and I'm glad that he joined us today. Amulet summons and calls.
I have a microphone this time.
So I wanted to start with just a quick dabble in your guys' thoughts on the amazing opening speech that occurred in last week's episode. Just a few minutes. I know we have a lot to cover.
Get your paper ready.
She said, Whitebeard, what was it? No, the speech was kind of a surprise, I think, for a lot of people, because everybody kind of, like, the party expected Whitebeard to be mad. I think a lot of the audience expected Whitebeard to be mad because they spent all of his money. They loaded up his boat with a bunch of people he had never seen before. So a lot of people thought Whitebeard's going to come out here and stomp around, make a big scene, but he gives this big rah rally the troops speech, and it was maybe not out of character for Whitebeard, but it wasn't what the reaction I think the party or the audience necessarily was expecting, and that was a good way to start the episode, I thought.
Fail Waffle told me that she totally expected this to happen, and I mean, she's a Fail Waffle, but she did call this one.
Well, that's what I'm confused. You said this is the first, like, you're giving it a 9 out of 10 malls, which you usually don't. So you usually rate the show also? Like, it's Fail Waffle.
I'm just standing in for Fail Waffle, and I heard that that's what she does on this stream. So.
But you said you usually don't give them a 9, but this said you gave this episode a 9, which is something you've only done once before. So that means you've been rating the episodes yourself. Also.
Yeah, always. Fail Waffle and I pretend to be your friend at times. Yeah, we both have given 4 episodes a 9 out of 10. So yeah.
Okay.
Pretty good. It's a pretty good one.
I finally figured out what I felt about the speech. Do you know how when your parents get so mad at you that they don't even yell?
Okay,
that was kind of, he's like, he just played it cool. He didn't really, but he's saving his anger for later. He tried to inspire and make the best out of a bad situation, but
I mean, I guess you guys seem to be putting me as in the role of speaking for Fail Waffle then, because I'm sorry, but that's kind of what leaders do. Is they talk to their employees basically. I mean, they rally them, they inspire them to do and I just love that the whole time Lily was like just waiting to interrupt. How do I interrupt them? How do I interrupt them? And then James was like trying to undermine it, like as if he needs help, to talk to his people, his pirates. It's just so I was not at all shocked about how well that speech kind of went, and it's just, to me, it's just another feather in the cap. So anyway,
I agree, and his cap is full of feathers or so. Yeah, it really is. We really do. I can't stress enough to the watchers that we really did take a while to figure out what specifically we wanted to cover today. And I know it was obviously really important for everyone here to kind of discuss and talk about the sending to Chomel. So who wants to take it away to start with?
I don't know. Who's going to start? I think. Well, I remember one of the points we talked about was how much this is like possibly turning into a Terminator-style time loop, where the jerking the kid around is maybe contributing, turning him into Yonmo.
Yeah.
So, what is a good idea? Who thinks this is a good idea?
I see that Jared's in chat, and to me, I was just thinking how short-sighted I thought Civ was in like saying, "Hey, go to Kingdon. He's kindness awaits you," and it's like, you haven't even been to Kingdon. You don't even know what's there. And I mean, and something bad is going to happen in Kingdon, either going or did. It's like, why invite more death and destruction on this poor kid who turns out to be Hitler? I mean, it's like why would you do that? Anyway, so. Yeah.
Do you ever get the feeling that the more they try to change things, the more they make them the same?
Yeah.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's Terminator logic. John Connor was only born because Skynet built the time machine to send somebody back to the time to kill John Connor.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one thing that, again, I know we always say this, but for this episode specifically, that's what blew my mind, is the fact that this all happened organically. This isn't scripted. It's not planned, and yet they want to try to change things, but yet him making that sending, it wasn't just it was also James. Let's share that. It was very much James had to be the one to do it, but it's almost like them doing that could very well have naturally pushed him to become Yanmo and who he is, but that wasn't originally planned or in the script that Jeff had. And so it's crazy.
Let something else do it if they didn't do it themselves, but they're just playing into it so perfectly. Why not let them do that?
Yes.
I love that. And what was it, 2 episodes ago, they were shown the potential consequences of changing the timeline or playing with the timeline, and they couldn't help themselves. 40 just 48 hours or 2 episodes later, let's do it again. It's just like, I don't know.
Well, and let's go backwards a little bit here with James. His whole thought, I mean, he's sitting there with his notebook trying to figure the time travel thing out, and it was almost as if his plan, I like the way, Aegis, you said this when we were talking about it before, but it was almost like his plan was to help push the timeline, like keep it going so where Yanmo is evil, but at the same time kind of put in little nuggets of
Still good to be see Hitler, yes.
Yeah, and I kind of actually thought Fahima was thinking very kind of on the more mature side of this, and she was like, we already know all this information. He already is fully aware who Ugo the Brave is, and not to mention, it clearly is very important to him. Well, at least in the alternate timeline, it was important to him. But I definitely don't think that's something he's going to forget. I don't understand. I'm really curious to see James's thought process and why he thought that was necessary. I don't, unless it's James specifically like needing to have that sense of control. I don't understand why he needed to.
It was interesting seeing Fahima being the more level-headed of the group.
That is a turn.
But it almost feels like they're trying, or like James was just trying to make it so that let's keep him evil, but let's let him have good memories of us. So when it comes up against us, we're going to have our asses saved. Screw everybody else.
It's like Inception dungeon runs.
Well, again, if they did succeed, I think what James was thinking, if they did succeed in saving Bingle through sending to Cholomel, then they would, again, like you said, like they just saw what happened. They did that, so we didn't want to do that because, again, if that happens, everything they just done becomes erased, and then who knows what happens to the amulet? Who knows what happens with Calcutta, the Ashen Age? So they didn't want to take that risk. But he wanted, but screwing with the timelines again is taking that risk by default. Because anything you do might change a key moment. Or heck, you might even get that kid killed. You told him to go swim to Kingdon. It's like that's a week's sailing away from the deep reef, at least.
Yeah.
So,
2 weeks.
for swimming, a month, 2 months.
Yeah.
He could very well die. So.
Agreed. But I do want to say, Jared in chat, your first little sentence there of kill Whitebeard, Fairapple would tell me for you to watch it. That's all I'm going to say. I know she would want me to tell you to watch it, and as a friend of hers, I have to.
Her ears are ringing somewhere. Somewhere.
Yeah, she sensed
got like a
it.
spidey sense of like something feels threatening. Oh,
yeah.
Never mind.
Watch it. But basically this council definitely agreed that Civ and James definitely overstepped and overcalculated, and it wasn't really a good idea on their part.
That's a feature of James. He likes to think about things a little bit too much, and he gets over.
What was the phrase? He's too smart by half.
He's too cute by half. Too cute by half. He thinks he's more. I mean, Morgan has said this. James thinks he's more clever than he actually is, and that was definitely on display with that sending, in my opinion.
But we can't talk about that sending. Yeah, there was shortcomings to it, but we can't talk about the sending without mentioning how beautiful Civ's first sending message was. I know he posted it on the Discord.
Quite the poet.
Yeah. I mean, it was beautiful, and I think we discussed this. How I feel, even if he would have just left it at that, if we were just to leave it at love is the answer, not your fault, it may have turned out better for him. I'm not saying it would have. I personally think it would have taken a little bit more.
I think it definitely had a better chance. It had, you're not alone. Somebody else has been in your situation. They know how you feel.
Yeah. It was certainly better than James's first sending, which is, hey,
dad's
how are
dead.
you? Your dad is dead. Oh, by the way, BTW, your dad's dead now too. So you're totally alone.
He did need to be told his father was dead, but not the first sentence.
The very first sending. You got to ease into that. Man.
Even the doctor says we tried everything we could.
And I do want to say,
yeah, just assess how the situation was.
Exactly. I was very surprised actually how quickly a 5-year-old is to this 5-year-old Chomel was, I'm going to kill all of them. They're going to pay. Like the first, basically, one of the first things he thought was, oh, I'm going to kill him. That kid is dark. I don't know. I mean, yeah, he's 5 years old or whatever.
From where he was raised in a royal family where they have he was raised in a royal family that had the whole secret crew of assassins.
Yeah.
So maybe that is kind of just like, somebody makes you mad, you have him killed.
I think too, you have to kind of consider the life that Chomel has had. It's not like he's had this normal hang out with your parents and go to preschool type life. I mean, he's been on the run. He's seen death. He literally saw a day ago, Civ kick his dad, beat it. I mean, this kid has seen stuff in his life, and
he saw his mother go crazy.
Oh yeah, he saw the whole castle run and everything. I mean, he's no stranger to the more violent life. So it didn't surprise me too much that was his first reaction. It was literally how he was raised. He's been on the run. He's seen a lot of horrible things.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, as a father myself, I know, give a kid an inch and they'll make a genocide. So totally.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing him on the AIM version of Criminal Minds. They're gonna have a whole episode on how he became the psychopath.
Dreamblaze said the kid reminds me of Anakin Skywalker.
Very much so. Very much so.
Poor Chomel.
Yeah, a little bit.
I personally think on the side, I agree with Mazikeel. I do think, since apparently their plan is to send him one sending every other day, I think they could have waited a little bit to tell him his father was dead. I mean, everyone, whether you're a kid or adult, we all have that emotional breaking point, and I just don't think he really needed that at that moment. And I also love, we have to point out how, again, poor Chomel, the freaking Choron family has my heart. But, when Chomel was like, why and how are you talking in my head? It was almost like, for me, it was like, can you just leave me alone?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
This poor kid.
And that was the day that Chomel was paranoid the rest of his life.
Yeah, seriously.
And do you blame him?
Yeah, exactly.
No. And that's what I said when we were talking, as far as time and place. They don't know where this guy is. They don't know if he's still swimming in the ocean. They don't know if this poor kid is, floating in sea. I mean, who knows?
He could have been stuck under his mother for all we know.
That's what I thought. I thought he was in her clutches for an extended period of time, and how
kids can worry about anything.
Oh my gosh.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. This council had a lot of different opinions, but I do think we all agreed, at least in the Chomel sending section, we agreed that they way overshot. We all agreed that they should have,
but misguided.
Yes, they should have checked in on the poor kid before being all methodical and coming up with their own kind of selfish gains. Those are my words, not the council's. But we definitely feel they could have done a better job approaching this poor 5-year-old before they just kind of laid their plans on him. And Civ, you started off great. Your first sending was beautiful. Should have left it until you knew more information.
Yep,
should have left it.
Absolutely.
Mazikeel, I want you to take the lead on this one because I know it was very important for you to kind of talk about Uggo during this episode.
And not just this episode, but the last few episodes. Poor Uggo has a lot to say. and I don't think he's wrong with a lot of what he has to say, and he is just not getting listened to. And the whole thing with him feel like they're being controlled, and I think we're seeing that a lot in this episode. No matter what they do, it's all leading back to nothing is going to change. That nothing in the timeline is going to change. They're pawns in the Chrono Dragon's little game, and but I think that the rest of the team needs to take 5 minutes and just take Ugo seriously, because he's not as dumb as he is portrayed to be.
This is where we started to have differing opinions, because I agree, Ugo / Ron is killing it these last few episodes. I mean, I said it last week. I feel Ron carried last week's episode. Although I do feel everyone was strong in this episode, everyone. But Ugo, he's trugging, and I think he has a lot. He is wise, and he has a lot of good things of value. But I do think this episode, his anger was definitely coming out more raw, like how it used to, almost like the old typical barbarian. I do think his plan of just let's be chaotic, it wasn't really the best idea, and I'm glad they didn't listen to him on that respect.
Did they?
But when he says stuff like, well, if we're going to talk to Chomel, and if we're going to try to do this and that, why can't I go talk to my mother? Why can't we save Bingo? It's and they just kind of glossed over that.
Ugo is perfect, a perfect kind of character for this group, the Heroes of Bingo, because all of the other characters have, well, except I guess Fahima's not. She's more plain spoken to, but everyone else kind of is clever with their words, or they don't say what they're actually what they mean. And Ugo, when he says something, he means it. He doesn't do BS. And I thought a lot of what James and Civ were doing with that sending, and what Lily was doing with basically for a while, is manipulative and just, like I said, too cute by half. And Ugo doesn't do that. And so Ugo will tell you, that's a stupid plan. Or you guys, plan C. I mean, so he is like, he cuts through the BS that the rest of the party loves to do. And yes, I wish they would listen to him a little bit more, because he kind of is the leveling agent. He smells that BS. So
I totally feel his anger and frustration. The more you don't feel like you're being listened to, the angrier you get, and you definitely lash out. And I also think he's the only one who really empathizes with what Lily has gone through, and whether we feel, and I'm sure we'll get into this later, whether we feel she's played the woe is me card too long or not. I don't know if anybody except Ugo has really come out and acknowledged in what a horrible position she was put in.
Yes. Ugo has said it since day one, almost. He's very in tune to Lily's feelings. He's very in tune to doing what's best for her. He pledged his life to her, so that definitely makes sense. I think where my struggle is, I 100%, by the way, you guys know I agree. I do think that the party needs to listen to Ugo. Cam the Fog Pal in chat says that they listen to him, they just don't agree with him. Oftentimes, like this last episode, I get that. I mean, again, I agree that being chaotic wasn't necessarily the answer, but there have been many times, if you look over the past couple of episodes and just throughout the series, there's been many times where Ugo would straight up say, this is probably the best idea. They didn't listen to him. They disagreed with him, but he was right. He was right.
And I do think, like, when Ugo is one-on-one with somebody, if he and James are talking, then he gets listened to, or if he and Lily are talking, he gets listened to. But when you get them all together and they're all trying to talk and be too cute by half, he gets lost.
Well, and I think
I think some of that power of first impressions, though. I mean, he's like I know we didn't get to see episodes there, but we did hear that the first thing he did when they got into a situation was charge at the explosive rats and wash himself away and nearly get himself killed. So they know that his impulsiveness and rashness, that's their first impression of him, is he's impulsive and brash and maybe doesn't have the best ideas. And first impressions can be hard to overcome. It's just like with Whitebeard, their first impression of him from 22 years in the future is he throws people in owlbear pits. He whips his own men, cuts people's tongues out.
Yeah.
So again, that's why they expect this monster to come stomping out of his quarters when but instead they haven't gotten over that first impression of Whitebeard, just like they haven't gotten over that first impression of Uggo, which makes them kind of lock into these patterns. And like I said, they expect Whitebeard to come out be a monster, but now he goes out and is this inspiring captain. And it's like, okay, so that's where he got where he had to have some skill, some talents to get where he was when they found him.
Yeah.
So it's not shouldn't be surprising, and it shouldn't be surprising. And that's the same way that when they approach him about the beard thing later in the episode, is like they're trying to get him to come to the idea on his own rather than saying, "Hey, we think you should do this," kind of because they're afraid of him still. They think he's going to be angry, violent, because that's the impression they have of him in their head. Is like, but they really haven't got a good read on this guy yet. He's not who they think that he is necessarily. They there's good and bad in there, so it's like. But they always approach him with the assumption that he's going to be violent, he's going to be angry, and he's shown in this arc of the story time and again that's not always how he reacts.
I mean, he's starting to found his own religion. Basically, he's an evangelist right now.
Evangelist, I love that.
I mean, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And quick interjection, who else thought that when Whitebeard was telling Lily and Fahima that, he knows that they probably are just, lusting after him, but his heart is already taken, who expected him to make some reference to Failwaffle?
Not me, because I'm not Failwaffle, but I'm sure Failwaffle would have loved that.
I heard that's why she's not here. She exploded. Still trying to put herself back together.
She was so happy that her man stood by her. That they've been on dates nonstop, which is why I'm here. For those of you who missed it, she was very excited. I'll just say that. But let's be again. Failwaffle's #1 rule is never assume a theory to be true. So we don't know who Jeff was referring to, but let's hope.
No, we don't, but I have expected.
We can hope. Jared in chat says, I like SuccessPancake. She's so positive. That's because, unlike Failwaffle, Jared, I'm successful.
That's successful. Okay.
But I do, winding it back a little, Failwaffle is all right. But winding it back a little bit, I do want to say that, yes, again, with Uggo killing it, I think right now, Civ a while back towards the Castle Rum kind of had his mental breaking point. He was struggling. I think this is where Uggo is having his he's struggling mentally, inside, physically. He's pissed at the world. He's not happy. And I agree, he's doing two different struggles. He's angry at the Chrono Dragon, which, by the way, for those of you, he was right about the Chrono Dragon. He was just playing with them and testing them. But he's angry at the time situation, but he's also angry at his party. Because as Failwaffle talked about last week, he's tired of the party not listening to him. He's tired of Aegis. I love the way you put it. He's tired of them after all this time only going after his first impression. He's angry. He rose. He builds. He does the strong things at the end. But what's beautiful about Uggo's character right now is even though he's struggling and he has his anger that is starting to slip away from him, he does have his, what did you guys call it? His candle.
Uggo evangelism.
Yes, he has that, and he's trying. You can see throughout the episode his struggle with that. He's trying to embrace the Candle Queen and his inner peace, and to continue to hold on to that strength, the anger as a strength rather than a weakness. And you could definitely see that during the scene where he was trying to convert those orcs, and it was such a beautiful scene. And he
picture of evangelism like logo would be like one candle lighting another. That's kind of like, he's trying to pass the flame.
Yeah, love it.
beautiful. Yeah, and
No, I love this arc that he's on right now.
Absolutely.
It's just, I mean, just the dichotomy of the rage versus the. It's just love it, awesome.
it's beautiful. And he didn't get mad when the two orcs pushed over his candle. I mean, he took it so well. It was a very beautiful scene. And then I got a little touched when the third orc was like, well, I would like to hear more.
I'm still wondering where we're going to go with the human ancestry part of the orc, because that's like, that's not traditional D&D. And I'm really curious how much of this is Ugga right about? Or is it just he has a human ancestor by coincidence, or is it all orcs? It's kind of like, and the other orcs they're like, they didn't believe that. Even with the human ghost ancestor that Ugga summoned standing in front of them, they still don't, like, well, whatever, that's your ancestor, it's not my ancestor, or something. I mean, I'm curious, I guess it's probably gonna have to wait until they get to Thorn or Ukdun at some point someday, but it's Lord knows
we will get there. I'm sure.
Who else thinks they need to put the AIM maps into the caffeine store so that we can all have our AIM map?
Oh, the AIM maps?
AIM map,
Yeah,
yes.
I wouldn't mind one.
I do.
A poster size one.
I mean, months and months ago, I asked Jeff if they could maybe get like placemats for kids, because my kids just love the Land of Nine. I'm sorry, drink everyone. I mentioned my kids.
Yeah, no,
I die of alcohol poisoning, so I'll.
And on that note, we didn't have time to cover this when the four of us spoke, but I did kind of want to talk a little bit about. Fine, I'll skip it for now. We have to mention Lily. Lily, there's no editing on the stream. I am a success pancake.
You are. Live to tape.
There is a lot to say about Lily this episode, and I know we said we were going to dive into it because we all had very slightly different takes on her. I think Lily. I think she was kind of, for me personally, Lily is at a point where I really would like to see her take a stand. And I know Fair Waffle has been saying that for a while, but I kind of agree with her. She didn't really participate in that group conversation that they were having. She kind of just sulked in the background. And it seemed to me, there was a little passive aggression flowing out there for me. It seemed like she was kind of upset about her situation, kind of putting that onto the party a little bit. She was upset that they were talking about how to save Bingle and not save Bingle. But at the end of the day, Lily, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And if anything,
she even admitted that she was being passive aggressive.
She did.
Yes.
And it was right after she was passive aggressive. When she immediately left, she's like, Lily leaves. When they did the sending, it's like, that was passive aggressive. And to her credit, she did say, I don't mean to be passive aggressive. Now, that's like saying, don't take offense by this, but then yeah. So
yeah. She needs to get over herself. She's been put in this bad situation. We all know she's been put in this bad situation. She needs to buck up and move on and do something positive.
Just distant friends. They all died.
Well,
to be fair, I don't think it's a move on situation. It's kind of in her face. I mean, she can't say whether she likes it or not. It's there.
Well, maybe move on is the wrong word, but maybe she needs to just get it out of her. She just needs to get it out of her system. She needs to come out and say, this isn't fair. I'm upset with it, and I'm frustrated that I really don't feel like I can say anything. I mean, she needs to scream, and she needs to get mad at everybody.
Find a pillow and scream it in it or something. Because she's wound up like a top. She's I don't know.
Well, the thing that
she can't solve this situation by being nicer. or even trying to.
And I think that's just what's killing her is she doesn't know how to solve a situation except how to be nicer. And I feel they needed to have this conversation weeks ago. And the longer they don't have it, the harder it is for Lily to,
I think she'll eventually snap, and that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, it's like I think Jeff has pushed her a couple times, with with the description when in the secret room when they took her there with the question, and he kind of sat there and just twisted the knife about who this kid is and what he did, and she still chose to try to be nice, and then the Chrono Dragon takes him to the future and is like, well, here, it's like I'm gonna twist the knife the other way.
Yeah,
it's just like, and then he's kind of like, what am I supposed to do?
See, this is why I think Ugo's right about how they have no control over anything, because how could if they had control, how could the Chrono Dragon guarantee that if they chose to save Bingle, that they would never meet and they would never see each other again?
I don't trust the dragon one bit.
Now, what is the is he more powerful than us as watchers? Like, what's going on here?
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's like, so if the dragon is showing them the future, how could he show them the future that couldn't have possibly existed, since the next moment erased all of that? The moment that Chomel and his mom torpedoed that boat and went into the ocean, any intention that they had of saving him went out the window.
Yeah, they're being played like a violin by this Chrono Dragon.
Of them succeeding when that was never a possibility. It suggests that the whole thing was an illusion to me. But
I want to remind us that we can't talk too deep into theories on here, but I think the Chrono Dragon is a badass, and I think the Chrono Dragon speaks truth.
Cool.
And I think the Chrono Dragon is awesome.
I don't trust him.
But what I want to say though, and Kim the Fog Pal said it perfectly in chat. She said that Lily keeps saying that this isn't her choice, but in reality it was. And I think that's where my frustration ultimately comes from, is you have Ugo, who's fighting for Lily's, emotions and Lily's say, and like, oh, well, we need to do this for Lily and what's best for Bingle and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you have Civ, who's sitting here making his decisions because no one else is making them. Lily can't sit here and get mad and upset and do nothing. I think that's my frustration, is she does have the say. If Lily were to take a stand and do something, she would be the one making the decisions, and she's not. She's choosing to be very complacent.
I don't like what.
I think it's just
one at a time.
Say it again, Aegis.
I said it wasn't her decision because the boat would have sunk anyway. The whole choice was an illusion.
I'm not just talking about the Chrono Dragon. I'm talking about after the fact.
I mean, I think that
like the sendings. She said it herself. She was like, "Thank you, Civ." I mean, she was all excited that Civ did the sending and everything, but she could have at any point been nice to Chomel. I mean, she made a point that she couldn't, and that all this stuff. But they're doing the ones. They're trying to have her eat her cake and eat it, have her cake and eat it too. And it's just like, well, you could be doing something.
I think it's a self-imposed limitation too. She feels like she can't make a choice because she can't be
Yes.
Crap, what's the word she can't be unbiased about it. I don't,
She doesn't like the rules of the game, so she chooses not to play, and then she wants to.
But I think they're her rules, and she doesn't.
I'll go that mad too.
So Aegis, you are, as we know, you don't think that Lily is being passive aggressive. You don't think, like, what do you, if you?
I think, I mean, Lily's got what are her options?
That depends on what Lily wants, and I don't think anyone really knows what she wants, which is the problem for me. Anyway. That's the problem. Does she want to just move forward and, like Mazikeel said, just kind of speed things up? Does she want to try to save Bingle?
They're going to fight bugs. She just focuses on what, like they had to fight the monks. She focuses on what's in front of her, because the big picture is she doesn't know what's going on. She can't know. She doesn't know who's telling. Like, again, the dragon put them in a situation where he asked them this question and then revealed, oh, ha ha ha, whatever you said doesn't matter. You know, so it's like I think like Ugo's very angry about that too. He feels jerked around, and I think that's perfectly fair.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it's like they can't do anything about the dragon, not directly. Like they can't go and slap the dragon in the face. What can they do about the dragon? Nothing. And if they try to change the past, well, they've got concerns that might. But they're just going. I like Ugo's idea of just like let's just mix it up anyway. Let the chips and like I think Fahima's like, and Fahima said a long time ago she thinks everything's she's a big believer in fate apparently, so she thinks you can even try. She thinks that you can try to kill Whitebeard, but something will conspire to prevent you from killing him. That timeline, whatever, something will happen. He'll be okay. I don't know if Jeff would be willing to go that far to like Final Destination in some way out of him from killing Whitebeard. Like if Ugo tried to swing his maul and crack Whitebeard over the skull, that Ugo slipped on a bar of soap on the deck and then falls down. Like, I don't know how far Jeff would be willing to go.
I agree.
I mean, it's like it would be interesting. I mean, I really wish they would try to push that limit, though. I kind of do would like to see them push that boundary, see just how far they can go before it blows up.
I'm cool with them not pushing boundaries because I know what that would mean for my friend.
Yeah, your success pancake, not fail waffle.
Yeah,
fail waffle
I'm just saying I know what that would mean for her, and so gotta rep a little bit. We didn't necessarily talk about it because we didn't have time when we spoke, but I did want to bring up a little bit for us to talk a little bit about James and Fahima's conversation with his new domination spell, because that was a very interesting conversation. So for me, what I thought was interesting about it was, one, I actually loved Fahima's reaction to it because Fahima's made it very clear, at least JLP has also outside of game, that Fahima does not like any type of mind control. She likes everyone to be, she doesn't like things that mess with that. But what I found interesting about it was the fact that she said, "Oh, I don't trust anyone with these type of spells but Lily." And I found that very interesting, and I don't really know where that comes from, and I want to hear from you guys. I
think she thinks Lily's mostly pretty nice, even though Lily's shown how dark her imagination can be with her phantasmal force several times. So there's a darkness down there.
Yeah, I Lily does have this kind of maybe pristine reputation of just being so overly nice and a lot of people I think just have a hard time seeing her doing anything for evil and not with the best of intentions.
But it just okay, let me clarify. It wasn't necessarily that she trusted Lily that caught me off guard. I think what I thought was interesting is her and James are the ones that have always had this, they show each other their spells, they talk things out, they have a strong mage connection with each other, not Lily. So I just found it interesting that she was like, for me, it was almost like, I don't trust you, but I trust Lily. And that's what confuses me, is like, oh, I thought you guys were the ones. James even said, I'm coming to you because I don't know how I feel about this spell. And I just found it very interesting, her reaction to him using it.
I mean, for me, I understood her reaction because it's like, because I mean, I don't know if it was Jessica on a rundown or if it was Fahima in game, but kind of explained about her philosophy on the, I think it was around the methods as well as Meep, and it was all about, well, Meep has a choice. Meep has a choice to do these things. It's not Fahima forcing her to do something. Meep has buy-in, right? Meep could choose not to, and with that dominate spell, there is no choice. I mean, other than a roll, right, to resist it. And I think that crosses that line for Fahima. But it is interesting that she would say, well, but I would like, I would be okay if Lily dominated an animal and told it to do stuff that it didn't want to do. So yeah, that is kind of, I think Fahima is still growing and trying to figure out those boundaries as well. So
ironically, mind control card on Vargan had no saving throw.
Yeah.
Well, isn't hers like a charm spell, and his is a domination spell, and it's the wording one kind of inherently has a more positive connotation,
Well, I think
even though
the
they
one that
do
Lily
the
has
same thing.
it's the same thing because the one that Lily has is like friends, which means you can't make them do something they wouldn't normally. You can't make them hurt themselves. But I think dominate, you might be able to make them hurt themselves.
Okay, well then I guess it would make sense that with Fahima's philosophy that
Like when you have like the friend spell, it just makes them more favorably disposed towards you, but doesn't make them willing to like sacrifice themselves. Whereas I think
Yeah.
with domination, you can say go fly into that cannon and tell the bird to go fly into that cannon, clog it up or something, get in with a cannonball. Maybe I have to read the spells again, but I'm pretty sure that dominate is a lot more serious than
Yeah,
those
I
spells
think you're
Lily
right.
uses.
Yeah.
I'll
Cold
have to
Candor
take
is
your
saying
word for it, 'cause-
it's complete control. So if that's right, then yeah, I
Right,
can
it's like
definitely
dominate.
see how Fahima would have issue
Like
with that.
you take it a minute, do whatever you want with them, and make them do it.
Well, I also find that chat too is a little conflicted. The Raven Queen says her mistrust of James. I had an issue with her mistrust of James, and Cam the Fog Pal said, which I thought was interesting. James doesn't trust his own judgment, so why should Bahima? That was interesting.
Which is
He told you about it.
kind of
That's
true.
true.
Like, he didn't even tell her that he.
I love that dynamic. The two kind of mages being able to like explore the ethical quandaries that magic kind of makes you.
I like the like one-on-one scenes with other people like that because she's got some interest. Like she has the mentor father figure relation with James, and she has. I think with her and Ugo, I love her and Ugo because they're like. I think they're almost like perfect brother and sister kind of thing because they're like in episode 3 they're the ones playing with the poop. Like, oh, look at this, or they're the ones playing with the second with the copper when like in the battle they're all like, and then like in the fight with the monks they're the ones poke around the dead bodies like, oh, look at that, look at this. they're kids in the playground playing in the dirt, and I love that when I love seeing them do that because it's kind of a surprising like connection with those two. They have that same kind of like curiosity and playfulness when they comes to dead things. I like that, and I like her and Lily when they're like gossiping. That's cute.
Well, and I agree, and that's what I have to point out. Even though maybe some of her responses kind of threw me off a little bit, at least initially, but their relationship is so beautiful, and that's one of the reasons why this episode was great. Is their relationship dynamics with each other was so evident and so strong, and how it's naturally grown and progressed throughout time, including Fatima and Lily with their little like kind of girly gossiping, and then the relationship between the father and this daughter type thing. It's just beautiful, and it really showed in this episode, which I agree.
And I love Fahima's comedic timing when she was pretending to be asleep.
Oh yes.
And I just like tears rolling down my face. Her snoring in the background.
Fahima is really good at playing her. I'm a lover of romance. This is everything to me, and the fact that she rolled low but played it well, I think it was hilarious too. I do play it well. I'm gonna ask you guys for final thoughts, so I'll start with my own on that conversation. I do find it interesting. I have to point out that Civ also is kind of going. It's interesting how Civ is really playing to his character in terms of his love relationships. He's made it very clear in the past that Vic could kind of control him and like manipulate him, and it's not intentional. I swear, I don't think Lily's doing it intentional, but even that desire to please is definitely showing with Civ here. Just how quick it was in all of the same episode, how quick it was. As soon as Lily said, man, I wish I could, not her exact words, but man, I wish I could have my cake and eat it too, and Civ was like, okay. So he went to work to try to make Chomel happier and try to give her the best of both worlds that she wanted. He was so quick to do that just to please her. And yes, she reacted with, I give you lots of hugs. This is fantastic. Thanks. And it's just funny how quick he is to do that. And I definitely find it interesting.
And the pastries. You forgot about the pastries.
Oh, he was so into like cheering her up. Yeah, it's beautiful too how Jared is playing Civ's behavioral patterns, and
Yeah.
he's doing the same thing with Lily that he would have done with Vic. I just wanted to point that out. That was my very interesting.
But I think Vic isn't doing the same things with him or Lily is not doing the same things with him that Vic would do.
Definitely not, and that's why I wanted to clarify. That's not what I'm saying. It's just interesting. You can see the different dynamic. How Civ's still acting the same, but the girl is different. Well, I mean, now to be seen whether Lily is okay with Civ just doing all these things for her. Still could be a low-key form of manipulation, low-key. But I will say I don't think Lily is overall manipulative, and I don't think that was her intention. But let's be real. I don't think she's upset that he's just doing all these things for her. I'm calling it like I see it. So
I, for one, am excited to see some bug squashing tomorrow. Was it the bug stinger, or what was Whitebeard's thing?
His bug stinger.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm really looking forward to what on earth happened in Kingdon and when, because word apparently didn't travel far enough that they knew about.
They're on the ocean until like the day before they got there. Yeah.
Well, I think Jeff had said that it looked like something had happened quite a while ago. So I don't know. No idea.
Yeah, kind of hard. It was really vague. Like the sense of time of it was kind of vague. My impression was maybe it happened within the last week or so, probably. But
yeah, I mean that wasn't my sense from how Jeff was describing it. It felt like months, but yeah, I mean,
I got.
Who knows? Well, that's why I'm excited to find out.
Who knows? We'll find out maybe more with they.
Yeah. All we know about the information is that Whitebeard hasn't been there in a few years. That's really all we know. We weren't given anything else. So I'm too.
If it happened years ago, presumably even by people by word would have gotten to Foster by then. Even if it had been years ago that this had happened.
Right.
No.
Right.
Most likely, maybe, but who knows?
Who does know? Hopefully, Jeff will help us tell us next week. Mazikeel, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I loved this episode. Though I do like that. I still think they need a big, huge knockdown, drag out fight to completely clear the air. I do like that they're starting to move forward. They're starting to veer away from, albeit slowly, from this whole do we or do we not have free will type thing. And it'll be nice to have an episode where they're going to be focusing on the present and not on the future, past, future time stream. As a watcher, the whole time stream thing can give you a migraine if you're trying to keep up with it. I'm looking for a migraine-free episode.
I'm okay with it as I want it to see its just ends so I'm glad it's playing out the way that it's slowly organically turning out. We'll eventually be past it, that's a given, but I'm glad that it's organically playing out, and I'm kind of glad it's giving them a migraine a little bit. I personally love the struggle. I love the moral conflict.
That sounds like that sounds like something Failwaffle would say. Are you sure?
I think I hang out with her a little too much. I should stop doing that. You never know.
All right.
I think for Failwaffle, since she is not here, I'm pretty sure Whitebeard in the fight and just seeing some chaos next week. I'm pretty sure that's what she would say. She is looking forward to it.
Excited!
Exciting! And with that said, I want to thank you guys for joining me on the Amulet Council.
Thanks for having me.
You guys are really awesome, and you should come back sometime if the amulet summons you to do so.
Absolutely.
I'm GIF hunting right now.
GIF hunting. So thank you guys. Next, before we do our interview with the Watcher segment, we are going to do the honorable mentions for the Watch Party contest. So again, Fairwaffle told me that her and the Earthbirds behind the scenes really did love so many of the entries. And as Fairwaffle stated last week, the honorable mentions will be getting prizes as well. So let's just get right into it and start showing you guys some of the Watch Party's honorable mentions.
due to a serious overstock problem, I am forced to pass tremendous savings on to you. At Griselda's Pavilion, you'll find all the knickknacks and baubles to satisfy the tastes of the most discerning citizens of Turles or anywhere in Ain. Tell me or one of my attendant creatures or minions that you've read and agree with all the signs and get an additional 20% off your purchase. Hurry, at these prices, everything but the tent will be gone soon.
Participation in all activities in Griselda's Pavilion are done so willingly, and the participants accept the risks that include, but are not limited to, physical or psychological injuries, pain, suffering, illness, disfigurement, temporary or permanent displacement into an alternate plane of existence, induced paralysis, economic or emotional loss, transmogrification, demonic possession, sudden and irreversible change of alignment or temporal status, and or death. All visitors to Griselda's Pavilion assume all risks, both known and unknown to them, and agree to indemnify and hold harmless Griselda and any of her attendant creatures or minions in perpetuity. Any uncomfortable truths or revelations about the future are for entertainment purposes only, especially those depicting the exact time and manner of death.
The real Tabaxi Rogue here advertising for Bingle. The wonderful Bingle Pine Rumple. Everything you want in a bottle. Having a horrible day? Bingle Pine Rumple right here. Tired of being lectured by little beach gnomes? Bingle Pine Rumple right here. Don't give two beach gnomes allergic to pineapple. Now, let's see if we can. It smells delicious. Excuse me, ma'am. Would you like to try some Bingle Pine Rumple? She's coming, folks. Bingle Pine Rumble! Everything you want to drink. Delicious. Oh. Excuse me. Hold on a second. Jim? That's my producer's name. There's something wrong with the label? Oh no. Folks, this isn't Bingle Pine Rumble. It's Liquor of the Dead. We need to cut. We need to cut. Taste at your own risk.
Oh.
A guide to Ian's facial fashions. Are you sick of that ordinary facial fashion? Are you looking for something weird yet useful? Mustic Creations would like to introduce the Weird Beard. Weird Beard, when activated, gives you something strange yet useful for a whole 10 minutes. You could get mustics, you could get water icicles, or even noodles.
Beard.
For an interesting take on facial hair, an ambiguously nutritious treat, we at Mustic Creations present to you our faithful conducive through Wayne, Weird Beard. We provide it, you choose to eat it. Mustic Creations are not responsible for adverse reactions for the consumption of the result of wearing Weird Beard. Side effects include nausea, vomiting, and severe enjoyment or revulsion.
Oh, again, I really loved them all, from the liquor pineapple rumple dead to the selling of the flutes to the mustic beard, literally. They were beautiful, and thank you to not just the winners and the honorable mentions, but thank you to everyone who participated in the watch party contest. It was fun. We're all here to have a fun laugh and gather together and kind of appreciate each other's creativity and just have fun and have laughs. So I hope you guys had fun doing it. I had fun with it. Fimic says, good one, SuccessPancake. Please tell Failwaffle we look forward to seeing her. I will. As soon as she's done with her date, I promise I'll pass on the message, and she appreciates it, and so do I. So without further ado, let's bring on our interview with the guest. Beautiful, much awaited arrived, Angel Devilson. How is my favorite angel today?
Hello, my darlings. I'm fabulous. How are you? The angel has finally arrived on the watch party.
You're such a dork, and I love you. Yes, finally. It took us a few weeks to work it out, but I'm so glad we did, because I think that I've said it before, Failwaffle said it before, you are an amazing part of this community, and I'm so glad you're here. So why don't you start by telling everybody a little bit about how you got into the show and how you found the Discord, and tell everybody your story.
Oh, Lord. Well, I was just bored one day. I was kind of in a bad place at the time. I literally caught up on like other streams like Critical Role and everything, and I just saw an ad for this stream called The Dungeon Run. It kind of caught my attention, so I started watching and I got hooked. And, as time got on and I got more into the community and, acted more, then I heard about the Discord, and I had been meaning to try when it first started, but I unfortunately didn't have a lot of time. And finally, Failwaffle basically called me out and told me to put my money where my mouth was and signed up. And then I joined the Discord and I haven't left. So yeah, I've been contributing as best.
Probably one of the best things Failwaffle has done, it seems like. Good for her.
For her, yes. Of course, she made this big deal for me to come on the show this week, and she's off with Whitebeard. So I see how she is.
I think, between you and me, I think she's a little too head over heels for this guy, but you can't stop real love.
We all know she tries to hide it, but
she does.
Her deception checks are always a nat one.
Yeah, I'll talk to her about that. See if she can up her stats a little bit.
She needs to work on her deception a little bit, but
We'll do. We'll talk to her. Together, we'll tag team it. We'll see what we can do with her.
Yeah, if we work together, maybe she can tone it down. But I honestly don't see that happening.
Me neither.
I love Waffle, but
especially if Jeff decides to publicly announce that her and Whitebeard are together on their show. I mean, who knows what'll happen then?
He's starting. He's finally acknowledged that Whitebeard is involved with someone. I would have he said it. I'm like, oh, Jess is gonna, Waffle's gonna have her. She's having an aneurysm right now. I just wish he had said something like, and she's just a little waffle. The best waffle. If he said something like that, I just, Jessica will light up faster than Behemoth whenever Civ and Lily have their romantic moments.
She will. She will. And I think Fimic in chat echoes you. He says, Failwaffle has good taste. I mean, it's very subjective. Again, I'm not in love with Whitebeard, but we all know that Failwaffle clearly agrees with you.
I love to hate him. I can't completely hate him out of love for Waffle, but he's that villain you just love to hate, and you want the heroes to succeed, even though he does some good qualities like that speech he did at the beginning of the episode last week. I was impressed, but I still can't fully love him because I'm on Team Force of Good. I'm the angel.
Yes. Yeah, so basically, you appreciate him as a villain because he's an awesome villain, but because you're a radiant angel, you can only go so far.
I can only go so far. If I tread that toe and go toward my devilish side more, then it's a constant struggle for me. I'm an angel, but as I say, my halo is technically held up by my horns, even though they're not visible right now.
Good to know. I don't think a lot of people know that about you, so that's very interesting you share that. Let's see how long the halo and the wings can overpower your horns. I think Failwaffle would really love to push that scale a little
She's
bit.
been
So.
trying to work me, but the power of good is just a little too much stronger. I have to follow the glowing light of our Candle Queen. All hail the Candle Queen.
All hail the Candle Queen, indeed. I know that Fairwaffle would. I know she hails and worships Grimfaded as her god, but hail the Candle Queen.
She loves our Candle Queen, but she likes Whitebeard. Loves the Whitebeard a little more.
For sure.
We know. She can't get enough of Whitebeard.
She can't. She really can't. But speaking of the force of good and force of evil, I wanted to talk a little bit with you about the battle between the force of good and force of evil in the chat, because I know you are one of the heavy participants on Team Force of Good. But it's I think that it's so fun to have those little battles, and it seems like you were just in it when you're on the show.
Yeah, when they introduced these, I was like, it's gonna be interesting in how to go, and then they just blew up. Like Force of Good, yeah, it usually comes strong. It's like the cast were saying in the beginning of the episode. Force of Good, we come out strong, but Force of Evil, they wait till later on the show when all of us Force of Gooders decide to go to bed. I'm East Coast, and I do have to work in the morning, so I can only stay so far. And honestly, half the time I fall asleep during the stream because the story is just so good. But I love the battle of Force of Good and Force of Evil, because to me, honestly, it's not so much a battle of Force of Good and Force of Evil. It's really we're showing how much this show means to us, how much we love this show. I mean, when they just had the blue balloons, they may have got a few hundred. Like the first week, they got over 2,500 balloons. That just blows your mind. It shows how much this show means to us and how much we love it, whether we're Force of Good or Force of Evil. And I mean, Waffle and I, we're on those separate sides, but we will throw like a balloon at each other. Like I'll always do, like, Faye Waffle, we know you're secretly the mole for Force of Good. She does that for Force of Evil. But it's nothing but love from both of us, because we both love the show. We're friends, and we just do it for love. And the fact that I've seen, other people following my lead, I guess, and, throwing a fail waffle and someone Force Evil we throw it at each other. It's, we're just battling the good versus evil, but in reality, all we're doing really is showing how much we love Jeff, Jared, Jessica, Morgan, Ron, and Katie, and the crew, and the map room, and the Candle Queen, and Lord A, and Milo. I mean, we all love Milo. We all love Milo, even when he blows up.
Well, and I have to agree with you 100%. It's Team Force of Evil. That's what makes this community so special, at least for me, is the fact that, for all of us, is that there are no tribes. It's we pick our teams, and we're so dorky and fun with it. And we will give each other balloons and each other's names, and we will be like, Force of Good's wall will never fall, and we're dorky and like, until Team Evil knocks it down. We have fun with each other, and it's all out of love. Like there is no like dissonance with each other. It is truly just you and Armando 89 said it best, is the fact that both teams are team dungeon run, and that's what makes it so beautiful. And it is fun that the show allows us to kind of have our own little dorky game with each other, because that really is what it is. It's what it always has been, and it's what it will continue to be. And in our Lily Dumblestuck band, our family is amazing. It's so true. And I'm so glad that you and Faye Waffle kind of have that playful banter with each other, because she told me that she loves you too a lot. For sure.
I have nothing but love from my Waffle, even though I think with Whitebeard half the time. But we all know what happens in the end. But I know. Just breathe.
Painful. That was painful even for me. I just felt Faye Waffle coming through a little bit from wherever she's at, and that was a little painful. But we're good. We're good now.
But we all know it, but she can at least have these moments that we're having right now with Whitebeard, because when we were on that main quest, we only saw him we only knew what Mervis had told the heroes, and they went based on that. Now they're kind of seeing a little more of Whitebeard in the side quest, So
Yeah.
does he
Oh,
have some redeemable qualities?
The
Possibly.
answer's yes.
Possibly. I mean, with the love of a good waffle, who knows? But
Who knows?
it's nice to, because normally when you see the big bad, you know, cut, die, you never hear the end of it. But the fact that we've gone back in time and we've got this, you know, this dynamic character, and we all admit we all just love hearing, you know, Jeff do this voice because he does it so well. But you know, it's nice to see, you know, a little more depth of characters, because usually, you know, when it comes to enemies, you just see them, you know, attack, kill, and move on. But getting more of a dynamic in understanding Whitebeard, it's great. You know, getting to see those things, and you know, seeing like how they got to that point. We've seen how Mervis took the tardy plunder, which is pretty cool for a 10-year-old. I will give him that. That was pretty cool. But just seeing, you know, like the speech, like I said, and the fact that, yeah, a lot of us were worried, is he going to freak out? Is he going to punish these innocent people that were saved? No, he's like, you guys are free. You know, if you want to be pirates, great. If you don't, you know, go on with your lives. So
yeah, I was going to say, and echoing exactly what you just said, Arcane Rebel in chat asked, can I be Team Force of Good and root for Whitebeard? Whitebeard would say yes, apparently. He is all about freedom and he is all about choice. So,
like I said, I'm Team Force of Good, and I love to hate him. I don't completely hate him. Oh, he bad guy, like just kill him already. No, I love to hate him. I love the character Whitebeard. I love, you know, like you see this big bolsterous pirate, but you've also seen him be a little bit of, no offense to Waffle, a little bit of a coward. So you show that he's completely human. Like he's brand show. Sometimes he's a little more talk than he is action. Based on what I'm seeing, you know, Waffle has her own, you know, opinions, and you know, I'm not going to try to convert her in any way because, you know, it's her opinions. So definitely. Like she respects mine, I respect hers. So
yeah. Basically what I heard is Whitebeard is great. So I did want to ask you a little bit about what I love the way you worded what kind of draws you and what makes the show so special to you. So can you tell everyone a little bit about the things that have made the show so special to you? Besides him, as you already stated, kind of giving characters a lot of depth, which he does do. What else kind of drew you to the show?
The story. The story, how Jeff tells a story. Like, yeah, we don't see a lot. We get like basically the map rim, which is awesome during battles, but we don't get to really see, you know, as they're traveling or they're cruising the sea. But Jeff tells that story so well that like you can see it I can always see it clear as day, like in my head. And you can see how the dynamic with Civ and Lily, Civ and Ugo, you know, and James and Fahima and all the characters, how they work together and like have their struggles, and makes you laugh, makes you cry, makes you go, what? It's just so great. Like that draws me in. If you can tell a good story and get my attention, because I can honestly say I can easily get distracted with my phone within 2 seconds. If you're not getting my attention, I'm gone. But this cast, this really amazing cast, like captures your, not only your attention but your heart. You can't help but love the characters. Like I love Sim's charm and charisma. I love Lily's, you know, she's trying to see the best in everyone, but she's struggling, especially with what's been going on with Chomel. You see her struggling so hard. She still wants to see the best in everything, and she's so good. You can tell she's conflicted. My heart has been breaking for Lily. Like it really has. Like I've wanted to hug Katie so many times, because you just see like they're so into this character that they're really crying. Like you see, does Lily want to save Bingle? Does she want to lose, or would she be willing to lose her friends? Now, personally, I'd never believed what that Crown of Dragon says. Dragons, based on my experience with dragons in D&D, they lie a lot.
And you are a huge D&D player, correct?
Yes, I am a D&D player. And I love playing D&D. Like right now I'm playing a human ranger / rogue named Arabella Winchester. Bonus points if you know where the last name comes from. But yeah, so I'm playing, that like a demon hunter. So yeah, I love D&D, and it's one of the great things. Like every week shows you what a session is supposed to look like. A great story, great battles, role playing that story, watching these characters grow. And that's a great thing. And another thing I love about this show is how much, how great this community is. Like this has been the most welcoming, warm, loving community I've been a part of. And I'm so glad I found this show. I've met so many great people like Waffle, Gorbin, Plade, everybody here. They're just so great. And it's for someone who growing up didn't have a lot of friends. I've never felt so welcomed. And I know everyone says I'm a big contributor to the community. I'm humble, so I don't see that a lot. So I'm not used to all the recognition, but it's great. And, I think one of my personal favorite moments, and I'm a little biased, was a few weeks ago when the cast wished me a happy birthday. I was totally thrown off guard. I was supposed to go to Florida for my birthday to see my parents because I hadn't seen them since Christmas. With COVID, I wasn't able to, so I was kind of down. My roommate, God bless her, who's been my best friend for 30 years, I guess hacked into my Discord and said something to Jeff, because next thing I know, I was actually playing a session of D&D. And, I'm battling Lithids and, nothing against Lord A. But, so I'm about ready to take a shot. And all of a sudden I hear Angel Devilson, a.k.a. Vanessa, like I'm looking at my webcam getting ready to tell my shot. And I was just like, I literally stopped for a minute. I was like, wait, what? No. And and then all of a sudden I got this explosion of love from the community. I literally started crying. And my D&D group's like, you're still alive. What is wrong with you? It's like, you don't understand. And like, I couldn't really talk for a while because I just was just so in awe. Like the fact that I get so much love. I got love from the cast. You don't see that often in D&D streams or anything like that. But the fact that the cast did that, like that meant more to me than they probably will ever truly know.
Well, I know you're not used to it, but as I told you last time we spoke, get used to it, girl, because you are very much loved and appreciated here. Gorbin playing even gave balloons saying that I love you, Vanessa, and that was very.
Oh, I love you too. Oh, you guys are the best.
I mean, truly, you feel welcomed here because you are, and you do belong here. And as Lily Dumblestuckman always says, we truly are a family. And now you give. Shea Berry says she loves you. Tina is giving hearts. It's a beautiful, beautiful family here. And on that note, I do kind of want
really
us
the
to
best
get to
community, guys. And
it is.
That's why we need to spread the word, guys. Spread the word about this community and this show. This show is just too great, and this community is the best D&D community, hands down.
I couldn't agree more clearly. But on that note, I do want us to get to know you a tiny little bit more than we already have, which again, thank you for coming on. I want us to do, since it was very well received the last time, I want us to do 2 truths and a lie from you. And I'm actually going to play with chat, so I'm going to see what chat says and see if we can figure out which one is your lie.
Okay. I've been to over half the states of the U.S. I've met John Cena twice. And I once got lost in Mexico for 3 days.
Ooh. Okay. That's tough. You had a very good poker face. Mexico. Ooh, 2 people, 3 people. The chat is unanimously saying Mexico. We're gonna go with, because chat pretty much unanimously is saying Mexico. I'm going to say Mexico, but yeah, Mexico. Final answer. It's John Cena, isn't it? Go.
Mexico was the lie.
Every like chat pretty much unanimously said Mexico. I knew the John Cena one wasn't a lie just because the fact you know who John Cena is implies you're a wrestling fan, which I did not know that. How very interesting.
I am an avid wrestling fan. I've actually met over 27 WWE superstars.
Wow, and a big fan of that. Real quick, have you met the Big Show? Because that is my goal in life. Have you met him?
Have I met who?
The Big Show.
Yes, I have.
That's literally my goal in life because he's so tall and I'm so short and I need that in my life.
I'm only
That's
like
all I want.
I'm only like 5'5", and I'm like.
I just wanted him to put his hand on my face because he could probably, yeah, that's all I want. Anyway, and before we end the show together, I want us to do a couple of word associations. Chat, feel free to throw up some names there if you want. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Joral.
Pain.
Aravan.
Interesting.
Shayberry says Seth.
What did she say?
Seth.
Seth? That's a hard one.
Nothing comes to her mind.
No,
Cam the Fog Pal says Milo.
Pain. It's just another pain.
Chef Scott says Salvage Manders.
Adorable.
Beaker Parr says Hamlet.
Piggy.
J-Lo Fett says the Duke. And then one more after this.
Loud.
All right, she's new, so she doesn't know that I can't pronounce the name. Sprinkle Winkle says Groligo. Did I say that right?
Groligo. Evil.
Oh, interesting. I said it right though, right? Groligo? You
Groligo,
actually did success. See, Failawful can't say his name right, but dang, SuccessPancake. Yeah.
She's too busy going, ew, white beard.
Sure, yes. Family-friendly stream, that's what she's doing. Yeah. And on that note...
I don't know why you thought that. I was saying it more like murder, like, ew, white beard.
I didn't think anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know either.
Thank you again, Vanessa, seriously, for joining. And thank you for the rest of the guests that have come on today. It's been another beautiful, wind-down, great Tuesday, and I appreciate all of you. And again, this community is awesome. We're going to be a broken record and keep saying it until it's not true, which hopefully is never. So with that said,
don't even say no, it's gonna. No, it will never happen. This is the best thing out there. It's better than most TV I watch. So I can watch this. I can watch this all day, every day.
Same. And on that note, everybody, humankind, be bold.